Look, I know one of the biggest bonuses of a podcast is being able to skip through things you don't want to hear about, but I would encourage you just to sit tight for just a second, because as the war in Ukraine enters month 3, it's hard to believe it's been that long, and you watch all the stories of families being displaced and lives being shattered, and you think, man, that's really sad. I wish there was something I could do about it. Here's the cool thing. You and me and all the potties could get together and actually maybe make a difference by helping families in Ukraine who have been displaced by all this violence. There's nearly 11 million people that have been forced out of their homes. And imagine that. You can't take everything with you. You've got to just pick and choose the few things you can carry as you try to get your family to safety. They say desperate times calls for desperate measures. Well, these are desperate times. That's why the Wally Show is partnering with Food for the Poor and 3,500 pastors in Ukraine and surrounding countries to help feed these people. And here's what's really cool. You can provide a meal for 25 cents, a quarter what we plug into a gumball machine. You could actually feed a child a meal. So now do some math with me. Your gift of $1 would actually feed a family of 4. Your gift of $10 sends 40 meals. Your gift of $25 will feed 100 people who desperately need it. So while this is a really sad story on the world stage, it is really cool to see the difference that a few motivated potties could make. So text the word Wally to 91999. That's Wally, W-A-L-L-Y, to 91999, and we'll send you a link to make a difference today. Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast, all the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today, including something that started in the show and then rolled out into the Facebook post that Betty Rock did. And Betty's had a morning here because something that we started, if you've listened to the regular podcast, you already heard us do the thing about Pastor Chad putting a lock on his pantry door so his kids, when they're home for the summer, couldn't just eat all the junk food all day, because that's what kids do. That's what they'll do. They'll go through everything. So he puts a lock on it. No big deal. That's literally all I thought. So we'll take calls about parenting things that you've done to, help manage your kids. Wow. Did I never in my wildest dreams expected people to get so angry at each other online discussing this. And Betty's been reading and responding and dealing with it all morning.
Yeah, we're almost up to 300 comments. Who knows what it'll be.
All of them bad.
Yeah, who knows what it'll be by the time you hear this and then check it out. But you can go to Facebook.com/Wally Show.
So funny.
So it's a picture of this key lock on this door, and I put in the description, maybe I didn't clarify it enough. I said, Pastor Chad recently installed a keypad to his family's pantry door to keep his 5 kids from grabbing snacks and getting full before dinner. What's that extreme measure you've resorted to when it comes to parenting? Maybe I should have said he does allow vegetables and fruit because he does.
Doesn't need that. Because to most sane, logical people who don't spend their lives trolling the internet, it's not an issue. It's not a big deal. Your post is fine. You didn't need to add anything to your post. Well, it's people that are crazy.
Right.
They're lunatics.
So a lot of people are saying this is going to cause an eating disorder. It can cause bulimia, anorexia. Now, there are some people that are speaking from experience, while others are just going off of maybe they're speaking for others that aren't going to speak. Sure. I'm not sure. But it just makes me livid because this is the reason why I can't stand social media.
Right.
Most of the time, I love it because I find really funny things that make me laugh, and I just enjoy that.
Right.
But there are things like this that it's like people are just looking to be offended. I want to be offended, so let me look for something.
Well, this is draining for Betty because she doesn't like this kind of stuff.
I don't.
Like, for me, I'm standing here, and I didn't make the post, so I think there's an element, too, that you kind of take things personal.
Well, maybe to a degree, but I hate that people just assume the worst in everyone.
Exactly.
You're never assuming the best. You're always assuming the worst. You assume, oh, he's Pastor Chad? Okay, well, he definitely is a terrible person, and he's
abusing his
mistreating his children. They must be chained to a bed and skin and bones. No.
Yeah.
They're fine.
This is the problem in our world, is that we have let kids run amok. We've let them, decide their own genders at 5 years old. We've let them, just do whatever they please, live their truth. That is the problem. You got to have boundaries. And so setting it up so your kids can't just eat junk food all day is a healthy boundary.
And I think, too, this is something I don't understand. A lot of people are saying, well, I say a lot. There are some people that are just saying the same thing over and over. It's specific people. Anyways, they're saying this isn't. They're not respecting their father, and his rules. Instead, you should be saying, no, you can't have this.
Right.
And then they don't eat it because they respect their parents.
Perfect world. But it's not like he's a bad dad, but kids are kids.
No. And others are saying, well, you should just have healthy snacks, not the junk food. Okay, but that's doing exactly what you're saying you shouldn't do, because now that you're going to be pulled away or kept away from that junk food, they're going to want it when they see it with their friends. And then they won't, then they'll, I think, okay, let me say this.
I love when she gets on a rant and then gets flustered.
Because I can't, I know you have a lot to say, but let me just say this.
You have at it.
Get it out.
People are saying it's abusive to have a lock on the door.
It's crazy, by the way.
But I have a friend of mine that at one point she had an aunt with her who had a learning disability. She had the brain of a 6-year-old, but she was 60-something.
Right.
So she was older than my friend, but my friend was having to take care of her. And in the middle of the night, whenever, she would go into the pantry and take food. Mm-hmm. And she was getting really big from it.
Right. So it's not healthy.
So she had to put a lock on that door.
Right.
But these people on Facebook just assuming that the same can be said for every household is not right. You can't say no one should ever put a lock on your door. Okay, well then my friend is not taking ownership or parenting responsibly her aunt who can't think for herself. Also, if you said, okay, they should just you need to teach your children self-control. Okay, fine. Fair.
How do you teach self-control?
If I have medication,
right.
If I have medication that could kill my child, and I say, do not take this medication, and I put it on the top shelf so that they can't reach it. Yet I know that if they get a chair, and I've seen them do it before, they can grab it and it can hurt them. But I'm not. Is it wrong for me to lock it up? Right. Is it wrong for me to? Am I teaching them? Well, then I want to take the drugs because they're sitting there, and I'm not, and I'm told that I can't.
Right.
Do you know?
No, I get you.
I'm frustrated at people in general.
See, I'm amazed. I am amazed that this conversation degraded so much over something that's not, because everybody takes everything to the most serious point.
And
most
personal.
Drastic. Yeah. Oh, you're giving people an eating disorder. A, never the intention. B, not even real.
Also, communication.
Not that eating disorders aren't real, but this causing that is not that.
Communication.
Right.
You're saying that a lock on the door is giving your child a message. It could, if there is no communication between you and that child and you're explaining why you're doing it.
Right.
Or you're not allowing them to have anything, like no food, nothing at all.
Right.
Like, then, yeah, that's abusive.
Well,
but when you're having communicating to them, listen, I'm locking this up because you weren't listening to me. So I'm going to put a lock on the door. Right. This is your decision that you had to that you made, and because you couldn't practice self-control, I'm having to take matters into my own hands. That's being a responsible parent.
It's the same as grounding your kids when they don't listen and they're not
should
home
we just
in
let
time.
them have full control and then parent us? No.
Right. That's exactly it. Now, with all that said, Betty Rock has punched herself out, which is so funny.
No. Let me read one of these comments that got so
I can't even fathom
personal.
that it got like this.
So there's a woman on here that's been commenting a lot, and she says about this post, a lock on the door leads to a disordered eating. My ex-husband was withholding snacks from my children after school, and we had a come to Jesus talk. If junk food is an issue, get healthy snacks. If they can't wait for dinner, cook dinner sooner. Kids need to eat when they are hungry. This is not okay. Then another woman commented on this comment, and she
personal.
said, well, I'm pretty sure we can all see why he is your ex-husband. He probably got sick of your judgy, know-it-all ways as well. You don't get to tell anyone else how to parent, including your ex. Good on him for not allowing your kids or you to dictate how he parents when they are with him.
Ladies, please stop. This is not what it was designed for.
And here's the thing we all have in common. We all want the best for our children.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that.
Everybody parents differently.
Everybody that's commenting on this wants the best for their children. But yet, we just assume that they want the worst.
Right. But the thing is, do what's best for your children. That's it. Like, this has nothing to do. Pastor Chad's kids ain't your kids, and he's parenting the way that he thinks is right. And there's nothing harmful. There's like, I get it. Like, if you've got a parent that's like, oh, I'm injecting my kids, with drugs because this is better for them, or I'm chaining them down. Like, I get that. You step in.
That's wrong.
This is not that, know. And so the thing about it is you got to parent your own kids, and you look at stuff. Any sane person looks at this, and even if you're upset by it, you go, all right, well, that's not what I would choose to do. That's it. End of story. Mm-hmm. But that's not how this played out, which is so funny. And I'm sitting here thinking too, like our friends, like our best friends, they parent their daughter differently than we parent our daughter. Very, very differently. But it doesn't mean that we're not friends. It doesn't mean that I sit in judgment of how they choose to do theirs, or they sit in judgment of how we choose to do ours. And you've got to give people that space. You've got to give people that grace, because it's hard enough figuring out parenting yourself. But I'm going to tell you, man, like, I'll make the statement that's bold, and I understand that. But like, if we had more parents that were involved with their kids' lives, set boundaries with their kids, told their kids no, instead of let's logically talk about this. How does this make you feel? And told their kids the hard no sometimes, I think we'd have a much less violent place on our hands. I think we'd have far less kids that run off the rails and hurt other people, because they were taught early on that there are boundaries and there are consequences for your actions, but we don't do that. So anyway, that was fun. That was like, I know Betty's exhausted.
Your definition of fun and mine are not the same.
Yeah, Betty's exhausted, and I'm just kind of like, to me, but by the same token, you'll have things that I've posted or that I've had emails that just totally get under my skin that you don't get. And you're like, that's not a big deal, but it's totally owned me for the day too. So I fully get where you're at. I've let it get me before too. Speaking of kids going off the rails, Matthew McConaughey, he actually did an op-ed piece, like an open letter kind of thing, about the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, because he's from Uvalde. And what's interesting about this, and I know some people will find it controversial, this stuff, but I was trying, when he first wrote his first article, I was like, okay, where does he stand? Because he's like, we got to do better than this, But he's a guy that believes in the Second Amendment, and he also thinks things have to change. And that's kind of like, we've watched this argument degrade over Facebook over the stupid pantry lock. And that's what we do as adults still. We fight about everything, and we can never come to a compromise that makes sense. So he basically wrote this letter, and he believes the solution lies in compromise between gun control and gun responsibility. He says, keeping firearms out of the hands of dangerous people is not only the responsible thing to do, it's actually the best way to protect the Second Amendment. We can do both. Because I think there's an idea that if you limit anything, your Second Amendment rights go away. But if in fact you make it so that the guns are not being the thing that's hurting people, because you're keeping them out of the violent hands of people that are disturbed, messed up, and should never have had them in the first place, then you, in essence, have protected the right to own it, because now it's not the target anymore. Like, you don't need to come for the guns because you've done the other work that has prevented it, and that's where the mental health stuff comes in and stuff. He says, our leaders must make bipartisan compromise on a few responsible measures to restore responsible gun ownership in this country. Those measures include background checks for all gun purchases. I agree with that. Red flag laws, waiting periods for assault rifles, and making 21 the minimum age to buy a rifle. I think that those are really good compromises. That are they going to prevent it? Absolutely not. And I know that's the argument from the extreme side of the gun lobby. They say, well, none of this will help any of it. And it might not help at all, but it could help some of it, And I think if nothing else, it shows two sides being willing to bend and meet in the middle without losing freedoms on either side, but maybe helping to prevent a few more of these. They're not going to ever stop them all. But I thought he did a good job with his thing. He said business as usual isn't working. That just can't be an excuse anymore. The heinous bloodshed of innocent people cannot become bearable. If we continue to just stand by, we're living a lie. With every right comes a duty. So there you go.
Well, and also, too, this morning we saw a interview with a teacher that was all 11 students in his classroom.
So rough.
Died.
That was hard.
And he was so emotional. And
he got shot twice.
Yes, he got shot twice. Yeah. And he was emotional. And he even said, I just don't want their parents to be mad at me because I did all I could do. He did not have a bulletproof vest, yet the police did.
Right.
And while I think the police were doing the best they could, of course, they want to protect these children. There was a lack of communication. There was something wrong. Yeah. But when you see the response of that teacher, gosh, it makes you want to just do something because it's not right because and he even said that day was a special day for those kids because they got a prize for
getting awards.
Yeah, and they were so excited about those awards
and so for him to no students made it out of his class alive, like none.
Yeah, except him,
right? And he was shot twice.
And how do you walk through that?
I don't know.
How do you live with that? Because while he's not guilty,
right. He'll feel guilty.
You'll feel guilt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What could I have done differently? He had some strong words for how it was handled because he could hear officers in the building.
And he could hear children calling 911.
Yeah. And then those children were then shot. I mean, it was a mess. I mean, he went as far as to call the officers' handling of it cowardly, and so he's bent and he's like, I will never forgive them. And I hope in time he comes to a place for his own self where he could, if he gets more information on what went down. None of this, all of this stuff. There's always two sides to every story, and were things mishandled in this? We're going to find absolutely yes. But then were they mishandled because people were derelict in their duty and were afraid? I don't think so. I think they were mishandled because they wanted to make the right decision. And they waited, and they thought that by going in would make it worse or what have you.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the stuff you're going to find out as well. Because these things are never all black and white. And you got to, there's no way cops who train for this were afraid to put their lives on the line. There's no way. Because that's what they live for, man. I mean, if you're a cop, if you're a guy in the military, you want to use the training you've been given. You want to someday. You hate to, but you kind of secretly want to, you know? And so I don't think that's the case, but it was just, it was so unbelievably sad how that shook out and hearing his story of, ABC didn't even play all the interview on the air. I read transcripts because I guess it was a lot rougher and they didn't want to play it on the air. So here's some good news though. For the first time, there's a drug that's targeting the protein that drives breast cancer. So I know we lost my wife's mom to this over 15 years ago. And it's a big deal, and they spend so much money on cancer research and everything. And so it's not a cure, but it's like the latest gain for this targeted therapy that could give more life to women that are affected by this. And it gets into all of the HER2 negative, HER2 positive, all of that stuff. It attacks the protein and it's super sciencey. But basically, it's a chemotherapy and antibody combined IV that you get that seems to be prolonging the lives of the people that are taking it, and that is great news. Because if you've had a cancer story in your family, you know that the person going through cancer, it's rough on them, but then it's rough on everybody. Yes. Everybody goes through this at the same time. Absolutely. Right. So
I'm just hoping that this will become even more of a thing. I know there's so many different cancers out there, but it would be great to just see a change.
Yeah, every breakthrough could lead to another breakthrough somewhere else. I mean, and we have all this science that can do all these great things. And it's crazy that this one, we've spent so much money on it and it still seems to elude us, but they get closer. My nephew is super, super smart. He's a doctor and he does research. That's his is not a medical doctor. He's like a chemist, and he's worked on cancer drugs and all these kind of things before. And that's his goal. I mean, his goal is to, eradicate things for people. And I love his heart and his spirit and his drive. And they have so many failures and setbacks, but they keep going and they keep going and they keep researching so that one day they can crack that code and actually make a difference. Now, not the same code that's on Pastor Chad's pantry, because that's impossible to crack, apparently. And back to that, no.
I can't.
Hey, what do you got for a lease of these, Rock?
Jimmy Fallon does that good name, bad name, great name.
Oh, I love this.
And so here's his newest edition.
BuzzFeed, well, that's a good name for a news site. It's a bad name for a hair salon. It's a great name for a 3 a.m. drive-through line at Taco Bell. There's The Staircase. Well, that is a good name for an HBO show. It's a bad name for an Airbnb. It's a great name for a courtroom drama about a slinky. Oh, interesting. After that, there's Break Free. Well, that's a good name for a song by Ariana Grande. A bad name for a prison. Great name for taking off your Spanx after a wedding. It's like, and finally, we have Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Well, that's a good name for a song. That is a bad name for a pilot school. It's a great name for trying to get service when you have AT&T. There you go.
AT&T is the worst. I have AT&T. My wife was just, I sent her a TikTok about something we could put in our pantry to organize it more. She's like, I'd love to see it, but I can't because our Wi-Fi's horrible. And I'm like, sorry, I'll look at it when I get home. But I've had nothing but trouble with them lately. I'm actually considering going to Mint Mobile. I wish this is where we got paid for endorsements, but we don't get paid for them here. I like Ryan Reynolds so much, and it's his company. And Zach has looked into it. Zach has it, former producer Zach.
And I have it.
Oh, you have it too?
I told you this.
I forgot. Yeah. Okay, now wait. So is it working out well for you?
Yeah. I have no issues.
Your service is good everywhere? Like we always get texts back and forth, so no problems?
Yeah. I think.
How long have you had that?
Maybe this will be my second year.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I don't even know if Ryan Reynolds has had it
I remember
long.
sitting in here buying the plan. You're looking at me.
Yeah.
You never pay attention to anything
Things
I say.
go by. No, but what did you pay for a year up front?
I do a year's worth up
What's
front.
it cost?
I think it's $30 a month. And that's unlimited.
That's fantastic.
That's unlimited data, unlimited minutes, and
really good.
unlimited texting.
Now, you don't travel a whole ton, but the
No.
places you've gone, it's been working okay?
Yeah.
Man.
I love it.
I might have to. Because Zach travels a little bit more, and he hasn't had any problems.
Yeah.
I had friends that are on T-Mobile, and they've had really good luck with it, too.
I had AT&T before this, and I was paying
a lot.
more than double.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to get it.
Yeah, that would take me, even if I have my daughters on mine, that would make me 90 versus 176.
Good grief.
Yeah. Thanks, AT&T. Appreciate your help.
Ew.
Appreciate your ministry. All right, let's do some birthdays.
Carissa wants to wish her son Josiah a happy birthday. He's turning 11 today.
Nice.
Happy birthday, Josiah.
Yes.
He is the second biggest Wally fan I know, only second to Caleb, whose birthday is the second. Caleb asked for Josiah to have a birthday shout out too.
Nice.
Josiah is a huge Marvel fan and is dyslexic too.
Oh, nice. That's fun, isn't it? But you know what, man? It's like, don't let it hold you back. I work in a business where I have to read a bunch of stuff every day, and it's super challenging, but it hasn't kept me from doing what I love doing and from being successful at it too, you know, so.
We have a question from Andrew, and his question is, what is your favorite TV show and the episode?
Oof, that's tough.
Episode. That's so specific.
That's tough. I mean, because I always default like to The Office because I watched the most of that.
But you like Gold Rush and you like
I liked Oak Island a lot.
90 Day Fiancé.
And the episode where they never found anything on Oak Island. That's
Which
my
is
favorite.
every episode.
Exactly. That's my favorite episode ever.
Yeah. 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah.
You like that? Toddlers and Tiaras.
Oh.
Runway. Was
Project Runway. Yeah.
You talked a while about one where they had to make dresses out of candy wrappers or something.
Yeah, they have an unconventional challenge. We were looking at that the other day if it was coming back or not. And there's a rumor that there is another one coming back, the Tim Gunn and Heidi one, which is a different franchise.
What is the last TV show you watched where you were just saddened and thought, what am I going to do with my life, when you realized it was over and you watched the last
and you were
episode.
done with it? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
That'll help you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think because I had just recently binged, what was it? Oh, Love on the Spectrum.
You love Love on the Spectrum.
And it was the U.S. version. I think there was only 8 episodes. Oh, it is so pure. And these people that have like autism are trying to find love, and you're rooting for them, and you want them to make this happen. There's one guy on there, Jason, where he gets really frustrated by questions, and he gets really hyper and manic, and I imitate him, not out of of like mockery, but I just like it. And he's like, oh, you're micromanaging me, Dad. You know, like and so my wife and I all go, oh, you're micromanaging me, Marty, because he's like, yes, and I could take the sword, but not the two-edged sword, because if I take the two-edged sword, it would be too big for my costume. Like,
he's wearing a costume.
Oh yeah. He goes to like Renfest and stuff.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I have a
awesome.
Japanese katana, but I do like the sword with the two-edged sword. It's
Does he
really
find
good.
love?
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but
You won't.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
That's
yes and no.
complicated.
There's a lot of yes and no's in this show.
Aw.
Oh,
so
but
sad.
I'm telling you, man, like this guy, I like that guy so much. One of the girls that did find love, Abby. Oh, for the love. So, I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was just so beautiful to see people that just want to be loved and just want to love people, and their hearts are just pure, and and the show handles them with such respect, which I love. Like I love. Yeah. So when we finished that, I was sad for a day.
Gavin?
Oh, I went, why is this show over now? I do not like it.
I think the most recent show that was bummed to finish was Stranger Things, the first part of this last season, though the next part comes out in like 3 weeks, so that's comforting. The one thing that I instantly thought of, though, and I tried to think of a more masculine show and thing to mention, but I was thinking of one of my favorite shows, Gilmore Girls. And
Nice.
the one episode where two of the main characters finally get together after 4 seasons.
Oh, Luke and Lorelai.
When Luke and Lorelai get together,
can't.
Yeah.
it just completes my
Yes.
heart as I'm
Yes.
watching that show. I'm sorry that I love a show with good people and that's funny. I'm sorry.
I have to tell you, I did not like the college years.
No, they are awkward.
the
They are
college
awkward.
years.
When
Am I
Rory,
right?
yeah, when Rory went off to
Totes.
college, the
I
show just
can't
lost it for me.
I literally can't.
You've probably never even seen an episode ever.
I tried and I could not stand
I'm
it because
sorry that you don't have a heart.
well, to me, I couldn't stand how they talked to each other because
Yeah.
it was so quick.
Yeah.
It was like, and then Lorelai did this. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know. It was too scripted sounding.
Well, the writing in it, it's really interesting because I can watch a lot of shows and I can tell you if a woman typically has written the show or not because there's a different tone and a different
sure.
style. There's a rhythm that a lot of women write in, and that show is textbook for that. And I thought it was well done. Like my wife and daughter watched it, like every bit of it. We went on a tour when we were in LA. Specifically, we took the Warner Brothers tour so we could go to the set.
I'm so jealous.
I know. We went to the set. We were in their house.
That's awesome.
We were at the gazebo in the middle. We were in their house. Yeah, Gavin, you would have loved it. If I had known you like Gilmore Girls, I would have brought you that instead of whatever I brought you back from that trip. I would have brought you something. I brought you something Friends back.
Yeah, like a Friends mug.
Yeah. I would have brought you back something Gilmore Girls had I known.
this was a cute
Had I known
moment, guys.
you were the third Gilmore Girl.
This was a moment.
Yeah.
And I love it for
I
you.
love it
I'm
for
not
you.
ashamed.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed.
What about you, Rock?
I'm going to be stuck on my tried and true. The Andy
Office.
Griffith Show.
Oh, good.
What's
Anything
favorite episode? I like the bank robbers one. Where
my
Barney,
favorite episode is when Opie has to rescue 3 baby birds, and he calls them Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod. It's called Opie the Bird Man.
Nice.
And at the very end, he releases the birds after they've grown. He releases them in the front yard, and him and his dad, Andy, are standing there. And he's like, man, the cage looks empty, doesn't it? And Andy says, yeah, but don't the trees look full? And it just makes me want to cry.
What a great
It just makes me want to cry every
time.
time. It just makes me emotional just thinking about it now. And I don't know why, but it's it was just so wholesome, and it was a good lesson. And there was comedy in it when they called him Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod, and Barney's telling him how to talk to him.
Because now, if they were to redo that show now, Opie would have like an opioid addiction. You know, like it would be darker, and it's got to be real, and it's got to be
or trying to get an agenda across.
Yeah,
And it's just
exactly.
like, I come here to just have a good time.
Yeah. No, that's
not
great.
to be preached to.
But don't the trees look full? That's good. We could use that as we could use that as a topic when I get back from vacation.
What?
Like something about like a wholesome moment or a wholesome TV show or something, some line of a
And I
movie
could
that
pull
you
the
learned
audio.
something from because that's really good. Yeah,
You might make me
yeah,
cry.
we'll play with that today and we'll talk about it for when I get back because I have tomorrow. And then I apologize. There is going to be a lot of best of shows and no Aftercast
That are just as good,
for a
by
while.
the way. The best
Yeah.
of shows are Very entertaining.
It was funny once, and odds are you didn't hear it because people don't listen that much, like all day. So, yeah. But I'm going on vacation for a long time.
I wish I was going on vacation. This whole time while we've been doing this Aftercast, I have the sound on my Facebook, and every time there's a new comment, it goes ding.
You should
and the whole time it is going ding.
It's just
ding,
eating
ding,
you today.
ding, ding,
You're
ding.
in it. You're in it. Yeah. And again,
And I have to look. I have to see what is it.
Yep. I cannot tell you not to be that way. I cannot tell you not to because I would be a massive hypocrite. So I'm
But
just
here's
gonna say,
the thing:
you'll
you
get out of
can't
it.
lock me out of it.
Right.
You're telling me to practice self-control.
Right. Yes. Exactly. I can't. So good luck to you.
Oh,
Just I know
gosh.
the day you're gonna have. How about that?
I can't.
'Cause I've been
I
there.
already can't.
All right. Well, with that, that's going to end our Aftercast.
Thanks for being potty.